Is the 2023 Honda Pilot TrailSport bigger and better than ever? Well, it's definitely bigger, but we'll have to see what everybody has to say down in the comments section as to whether it is better than ever. In my personal opinion, I have to say it is, but you know what? I'm not the consumer who's going to be buying one of these new models, but we're going to go over exactly what it is, what it has, and the additional features that you will find here if the TrailSport trim level is what you desire to have. And there are a lot of good things here. One thing that I know a lot of you are going to be happy about, if you don't already know, there it is right there, the panoramic sunroof, a first for Honda. To start with, on the TrailSport trim level, ground clearance increases by a full inch. That means it moves from 7.3 inches up to 8.3 inches. You will also find the all-terrain tires at all four corners. And the all-terrain tire size is going to be 265 on the width, so a lot of meat down there on the ground to grab a hold of things. A 60 series sidewall wrapped around the 18-inch wheels. We do have the off-road suspension. I don't know how good of a view I can give you from this particular viewpoint, but one thing I can do, speaking of views, one other thing of a few more options and features here that you'll find only with the TrailSport trim level is going to be the Trail Cam. And you can access your cameras very easily with this button right here on the end of the blinker stalk. Or excuse me, not the blinker stalk. That's for the front and rear window wipers. I'm so focused on telling people about blinkers and all that stuff that, well, sometimes I forget. But that is not the Trail Cam. That is the Trail Cam. And you can have a couple of different views as to how that actually looks. We'll go through that. Let's see here if I can show you what we have here. You have the overhead view as well. But one thing that I do want to show you here, let's go back to the full view. Watch this. When you wash the window here, when you run your windshield washer fluid, whether you have the camera up or not, this is going to happen. You have a front camera washer as well. So a nice feature that is built in that a lot of owners often, when they have that feature on their vehicles, don't even know about. And something else that's probably a little harder to show, but I will give you an undercarriage shot, is the fact that the engine and the gas tank are protected by underbody skid plating. That's going to help quite a bit in those off-roading situations as well. You also have the optimized stabilizer bars. There are also front and rear recovery points, and boy, that should bring some interesting comments down in the comments section. You will also find the front and rear TrailSport badging. Within the interior, you will find the contrast stitching. That's always good. And only on the front headrests, you will find the TrailSport logo. In my personal opinion, it should be on the second and third row headrests as well, just to bring some consistency. It would just finish things off nicely. And obviously you're also going to have the larger fender flares just to give it a little bit more aggressive look. We're still going to have the same things here, such as obviously the fully redesigned look, a little bit more squared off, a little more boxy, but not completely. It doesn't quite have the aerodynamics of a brick, so that's a good thing. We're going to have LED headlights, LED daytime running lights, and down here on the lower portion of the bumper, the LED fog lights. The air curtain, active air curtain, you can see through there, I think, especially if my hand isn't in the way. There we go. We can see through and see that the air does pass through that area. A lot of gloss black here as well, not only with the grille, but also with the surround on this area that leads to where that air curtain is located. We do have the power adjustable, heated, and power folding side view mirrors. In fact, let me do this. We'll just show that to you real quick. I'm going to push this button, but this also happens when you lock the vehicle. So it's not as it used to be. Starting to see some features here on these Honda vehicles that I know a lot of you have asked for over the course of time. Also going to have the nice looking tail lights right there and the towing package as well. That means you can tow up to 5,000 pounds in this particular case. If I was going to sound the gong personally on one thing, it would be right here. For most people, this doesn't mean anything, but to an automotive journalist, I like to see a clean rear window area. There's room to tuck that rear window wiper away inside that rear roof spoiler. We do have a good look here at the body color shark fin antenna. We have the roof rails with the crossbars, so you could haul quite a bit up there. Speaking of hauling, what motivates this model to get down the road? It may sound like it's the exact same motor, but Honda says it's not. Let's talk about why I say that. If you come to a Honda dealership, or maybe you're looking online for engine specs, you're going to think it's the same 3.5 liter V6 that the previous generation had, but Honda says that's not true. It does have 5 more horsepower, 285 as opposed to 280 for the outgoing generation of that 3.5 liter V6. The torque numbers remain at 262 pounds-feet. This obviously is an all-wheel drive model. And another change is that it is now paired to a 10-speed automatic transmission as opposed to a 9-speed. So let's see if I can give you the gas numbers here. Kind of hard to see. 18 city, 23 highway, 20 combined, and 5 gallons of gas is what Honda says you should use per every 100 miles you drive. And by the way, how about those overall size increases? How much bigger is it? 2.8 inches of wheelbase increase, and if you aren't familiar with what wheelbase is, that's the center of one tire to the center of the other. From bumper to bumper, we're looking at an overall increase in length of 3.4 inches. And the width has increased as well, but there are differences here. On the front end, it's 1.1 to 1.2 inches of an increased width. And on the rear, it's 1.4 to 1.5 inches of increased width. And you already know what the towing capacity is, but what about cargo capacity? And keep something in mind here. If you've always wondered, what is a good reference for what a cubic foot is? Well, a cubic foot is the size of a basketball. So you could fit 18.6 basketballs up to 85.5 up to 87 basketballs back here. And if they were running out of air and you had a pump, you could use your 12-volt power outlet to power that pump. It would be pretty simple, wouldn't it? That gives you an idea on your cargo capacity numbers. Obviously, you can lower the rear seats back here. You can lower the middle row seats and maximize cargo capacity. And you do have your cargo cover here, but you also have the carpeted side of the rear floor area back here. There's a 2-sided floor, in fact, because you have plastic as well, and then quite a bit of space within. So there's a lot going on here, a little bit of space over on the side. You obviously have your cargo lighting back here, all that good stuff. You can even change the height of this door. All you have to do is, let's just lower it down right here, and you hold the button down like this and listen for the beeps. So what you'll see is now when I open that door again, it's going to open to the height where I just set it. You just saw me do that on the screen, so you know how that works and how easy it is to do. But I just want to show you the proof, show it to you in action. A very simple system to use. That way you don't waste any time going and looking through the interior trying to figure out where the buttons and the controls are for such things. And we'll go over here and take a quick look at what we have with the interior. Now, in this case, we don't have the middle row seat or the middle seat in this second row. If we did, that would be removable. So when you have one of those, it is removable. It's not here in this particular case. But to gain access to the rear seat, it's so simple. You just push the button right there, and look at that. Everything just gets right out of the way. I don't know how easily I can do this, but let's see if I can. I'm going to show you how much space there is. Now, notice one thing. See how I can move that back and forth? The track right here allows these seats to be moved back and forth, making it easier for rear seat passengers to gain more leg room. So I don't think you're going to find anybody having the seat this far up, but who knows, I guess that could happen. But we'll pull it all the way back. And even all the way back, that's not too bad. And what about headspace? For those of you who like to see me on camera, there I am. I have quite a bit of headspace. I'm 5'10", so that should tell you what it's like back here. You're going to have USB connectivity, the air conditioning vent, cup holders built in, and a very nice view with that all new for Honda panoramic sunroof. And then when I get ready to get back out, if somebody doesn't let me out who's sitting in the middle row, all I have to do is push that button, and once again, everything moves forward. And now we'll take a quick look at the door panel and everything that you get here for your rear seat passengers. You will obviously have the shade, the privacy shade that can be put in place, just to show you how easy that is to do. I say it's easy, then I have a hard time getting that back down. Changes here as far as the overall design of the side or the door panel on the doors go. We're going to have the nice large upper door bin, cup holders built in, space here, space down here for concealing snacks. You're still going to have the control right here for activating and deactivating the child safety locks. A little bit more of that contrast stitching. Comfortable armrest. We'll give it the armrest test. There it is. It is mighty comfortable. And right here, we're going to find the rear seat pocket, not only on the driver's side, but also over there on the passenger side. The armrests built in to these captain's chairs in the rear seating area. Also going to have controls for the climate control back here. Everything needed to take care of that. And then all of our connectivity options right there on the lower portion of the center console. And if you're wondering, there's what it looks like from the view of the panoramic sunroof. And unlike many vehicles on the market, I can't say that if you have a door bin snob in your life that they're going to want to call shotgun, because the rear door bins are nice and large, just like we have here. Pretty much the same look on the door panel as we saw with the rear seating area. You will find the power adjustable seats for the driver and the passenger. But something new for 2023 is going to be the use of the space right here. You can easily put a cell phone in there or whatever your passenger or even you yourself as a driver want to store in there, however you want to do that. We'll also have the nice large gloveless glove box, but if you need your wheel lock key to put your spare tire on if you ever need to, there's where you'll find that in that bag. And speaking of the cell phone, there is the wireless charging pad. More connectivity options here in the way of USB and 12 volt. And then the, well, kind of a mixture of reactions to what we have here, the push button shifter. So tell me what you think about that down in the comments section. You can change your driving modes here, hill descent control and hill start assist. You can turn off that not so necessary auto stop start feature or idle stop. Power parking brake and brake hold mode. There are your cup holders and a nice large center console. I like that. It's got plenty of space, a lot of space down within. And then you can control everything from the shade for the sunroof to the sunroof itself. It's a power sunroof as far as tilt and opening, sliding open and all that good stuff. We also have the vanity mirrors here. I'll make a second appearance in today's video with the light built in. And how far back do these extend? Well, pretty far back. Depending on where you're sitting, that could let a little bit of light through, but I believe for the average person, probably not a big deal. And when the driver is exercising 285 horsepower in the Pilot out on the road, there's the oh crap handle. There is one at every door for everybody to grab onto, except for hopefully the driver. Keep your hands on the steering wheel. One thing we're going to find that's different, there's a couple of additions over here, including the ability to control all four windows. You can lock the windows and control those heated power adjustable side view mirrors, power folding as well. But one thing you won't find on the passenger side, which I think you should at this price point, is going to be seat memory. It should be on both sides. It's not necessarily a big deal, but it would be nice to see that. Going to have the controls here for turning off traction control, which not necessarily an issue here because you're all-wheel drive, but you can drop the lever right here and reposition the tilt and telescopically adjustable steering wheel. And we'll hit the push button start and look at the all-new, at least for the Pilot, digital dash display. You can see what's there. A very simple system to use and to learn if you've never used it before. Not a big deal. Here is the turn signal lever. That's what you use when you're letting people around you know what your intentions are on the road. For those of you who have always wondered, but you probably haven't always wondered about these controls. That's for your headlights. Here is everything for controlling the fog lights and your steering wheel mounted controls. Very simple to use. You can surf your way through the gears or work your way through the gears with that 10-speed automatic transmission with the shifter paddles. And you have the 7 or the 9-inch infotainment screen, which we've pretty much already taken a look at. But you can pair your phone here. As you can see, you've got all that good stuff, Bluetooth connectivity. I do like the fact that the graphics here look so much better than they did in the past. As far as when you go into your vehicle settings, everything looks good. It's very easy to figure out what you need to do, what you need to change. If you need to change something, you know what it is. Just a little bit of added value from Honda, at least in my personal opinion. Everybody has their opinions on that kind of stuff as to what they want. Then you also have general settings here. That's a little bit more of what we're used to seeing in the past, but it still does a good job of getting the job done. And something that I know a lot of you don't want to see change It's right here. The knob for the radio to control volume and turn that on and off. So that is there as well. And I already showed you how you can go and see your rear view cameras, or all of your cameras around the vehicle, with the button right there. But obviously when you go into reverse, you're going to do the same thing, just so you can see. And then we're going to finally finish things off here with our dual zone climate control, heated seats only. Come on, Honda, let's have heated and ventilated here in the United States, not just in Canada, because it does get rather warm down here. That would be helpful, but depends on where you live, I guess. But a very similar system to what we saw in the past, just a new look as far as that goes. Now, one big question I know a lot of you are going to have, being that this is a more off-road capable vehicle, does that mean it's going to have a more stiff, rigid ride? Let's hop out on the road and find out. Before we do that, one more thing I do want to go through with you. I showed you the selector for your driving modes right here. What exactly are the driving modes? Well, let's take a look. We have Sport. I'll let you see the graphic that comes up with that. We'll go back to normal, where it's going to default, and then we'll go to Econ and Snow mode. You also have Trail. That's going to be very helpful. Sand, and last but not least, you have Tow mode. One thing, another gong I have to sound here. When you turn the ignition off, I'm going to show you right here. You saw that I stopped in Trail mode. So, or excuse me, in Tow mode. I'm going to start the vehicle back up, and what you're going to see is that it's gone back to normal. So that, let's get this off the screen. Let's see if we can do it right here. So I'm going to hit the selector one more time. You can see how there's normal. So I went from Econ, normal to Econ. So you can see that it does go back to normal. So whatever mode you have the vehicle in when you turn the ignition off is going to be, or not be, the mode that it will be in when you turn the ignition back on. Okay, this road may not look like the best place to test ride quality, but it actually is. It's pretty rough road here. So I really can't tell a difference between the TrailSport and any other trim level of the Pilot, the 23 Pilot that I have driven so far over the last couple of months. So you really aren't getting a rough ride quality here. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It seems more kind of floaty to me, but I wish we had a way to get out on the road, or get off the road, I should say, and really test out the off-roading capabilities. Probably have to have a press car for that, a press Pilot to do that, but we don't have access to that today, and I want Holmes Honda to be happy with me continuing to come back to review their vehicles, so we better not do anything crazy. But one thing I did forget to mention here, I don't want to leave out. You likely saw it when I was showing you the steering wheel, but this is a heated steering wheel. It has the functionality to turn that on down on the lower portion of the steering wheel right down here. I don't know if you can see that on the screen, probably not at the moment, but it is there, and that's a good thing. I always wonder, nobody ever talks about whether they would like to have a ventilated steering wheel or not, but that's a good question for all of you to answer down in the comments section. So what about the overall drivability? With 285 horsepower compared to 280 under the hood, can you tell a difference? Well, not really. It does seem that maybe this particular generation of the 3.5 liter Honda V6 maybe responds a little bit better. It's hard to say for sure. If it does, it's not by a lot, but even though I would imagine there's probably going to be people who think they know what they're talking about, what I call the correction Nazis, that'll talk about down in the comment section, oh, it's 280 horsepower, not 285. Well, do your research before you leave a comment like that, because that is the only difference between this 3.5 liter V6 and the previous generation. But a very smooth vehicle to drive. It's enjoyable, it handles well. It seems to have a pleasant ride quality based on what I've driven it on so far to this particular point. And so if I needed to get up to speed to get around slower moving traffic, I'm not going to try and squeeze in there, even though I'd like to, but I'm not going to. But I could very easily get on the pedal and get around slower moving drivers, but we're going to have to slow down so we don't run a light on camera. But overall, a very enjoyable vehicle to drive. It has all the features you would expect it to have as far as your adaptive cruise control, lane keeping assist, lane departure mitigation, road departure mitigation. All of that is here. A very enjoyable vehicle to drive for sure. A little bit bigger than the previous generation. Always curious to see what people have to say about that, because sometimes people want vehicles to stay the same size. And I already told you what I think. I do believe that the 2023 Honda Pilot TrailSport is bigger and better than ever. But what do you think? Now it's your turn to tell me down in the comments, and tell everybody what you think. Tell Honda what you think. Are you happy with the changes that have been made here? Is there maybe something you wish Honda had left alone? Is there something you wish was here that is not? Tell us all about it in the comments section. I've got to say a special thanks to my friends here at Holmes Honda for loaning me this Pilot TrailSport for the day, and a special thanks to all of you for being kind enough to give me the opportunity to give you a vision for your next vehicle. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn about other vehicles you may wish to consider purchasing, check out the video that's on the screen right now, and I will see you there.